All right, we are recording, and today we are going to talk about the rest of the deluxe resorts and then the values, because we already did all the moderates. So we're just finishing up deluxe and then doing values. So if you were not on last time, just a real quick recap. We're talking about like the hooks that go along with the different resorts. So these are things like we all agree that it really doesn't matter what resort you stay at. All the Disney resorts are amazing. You're going to have an awesome time. But these are things that the client is going to be able to like grab onto and feel like this is the resort for me because. And so I actually did a little bit of prep to make sure that I had all the resorts listed. So I'm going to just go over. So we talked about Animal Kingdom Lodge. We talked about Boardwalk, Yacht Club, Beach Club, Contemporary Poly, Grand Floridian. So if you missed, if you did not hear all of those, it's in the video from yesterday, and you can just hop over into the course and you can watch those. And those are always going to be there. So if you're like, what was LJ saying about that? You can hop over there. And I'm also having these trainings transcribed so that if you don't want to like try and go through an hour-long video to find that one thing that was said, you should be able to look at the transcription and find that, like, whatever, like look for the poly section and just read it. So we have Old Key West, Saratoga Springs, and Wilderness Lodge that we didn't talk about from the deluxes, and then we didn't talk about any of the values. So Wilderness Lodge, let's start there. I feel like Wilderness Lodge is a really good option for a lot of people because it's still a Magic Kingdom resort, but it's not on the monorail line, but there are boats. And so the transportation is significantly easier to Magic Kingdom. And yet the pricing, it's one of the least expensive values. I mean, I think it's probably like fourth from the bottom maybe in pricing. So for somebody who is wanting to be near the Magic Kingdom or have good pricing, like that, like the stroller situation, it's usually a big boat, so you can roll your stroller on. It's not 100% always a big boat, but it usually is. And so you can, if somebody is like, wants to be on the monorail line, but then they get to the point where you're like talking price and you're like, oh, it's not going to happen. Wilderness Lodge is a really good fallback because you can just be like, oh, you know what? There is this other option. It's not on the monorail, but it does have the big boats. So you're not going to have to fold your stroller, and it's one of the least expensive deluxe resorts. So I think this could be a fit for you. It also, like, the ambiance is really cool over there. It's very like woodsy prepster. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like we're wearing polo shirts, but we also have those puffer vests on and like little hiking boots that have never actually been in the mud. That's how it feels over there. It's really nice. There's like a calm atmosphere. I feel like it's for people like, if you want to rush off to the park, like jamming a bagel in your mouth as you run, this is not for you. Like, everybody's over there like mellow, like there's a giant roaring fire in the lobby. There's like, it's huge open space when you come in, and it's one of my absolute favorite resorts. It's a resort that I visited and was like, oh my gosh, I'll never get to stay here. Like, this is for the other half. And then it was crazy. Like, no, I stay there all the time. It's so awesome. So the rooms are good. The theming, like, I don't feel like the rooms are as big as some of the other deluxes, but the theming inside is really cool. The pool is very neat. It's like trying to kind of be a like nature-y, like spring type of a feeling, and there's like the geyser that is blowing up behind you. Like, so whenever the pool is going, like you're sitting at the pool watching your kids, and there's the guys are just like shooting off, and it's very cool. It only happens like a couple times an hour, so we're like, oh, it's going, you know. And usually I'm running to get it on film so that I can cover it for my Instagram. But so hooks would be, the quick service over there is really good. They have a Mickey waffles that are like multiple different toppings. No other quick service I know of on property has Mickey waffles with like bananas Foster, strawberries, and chocolate. So I'll go over there just to eat those waffles, and they're like there all day. So if you want Mickey waffles that aren't just for breakfast, you can go to the quick service over there. They also have Artist Point, which is where I think it's the newest character meal, the one with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And well, not the Seven Dwarfs, but Dopey and Grumpy and the Evil Queen. That is fantastic. It's a really great meal. Like, it is a really good meal. It's one of the only character meals where you get to order your food instead of just, you know, buffet style. And you don't order everything. You get all the appetizers that are on the menu. They bring those to your table. Then you order your main entree, and then they bring all the desserts. So you don't have to choose appetizers or desserts. You just choose your entree, and it's super good. The food is amazing, and the character interaction is really, really cool. So that's a good hook for somebody who's like, my daughter loves Snow White, or anything to do with Snow White. Like, you can be like, this is why I thought of Wilderness Lodge for you. Artist Point. Let's see, the boat, I think, is the other biggest one for me. Nothing else is standing out for me, but I feel like the transportation situation is really good. The ambiance could be another really high selling point, because you can say, like, with as relaxed as you are, I think you're going to fit right in, you know? Or like, since you want to spend more time at your resort relaxing, I think the Wilderness Lodge is a really great fit for you. Or like, if people are doing, like, if you're asking about downtime, which is something that we're going to ask about on the new form, like, if you're going to spend more time at your resort, then being able to say, like, you know, it looks like you're wanting to relax on certain days. And since you're doing that, I feel like a resort that really is calming and not a lot of hustle and bustle, like would happen at some of even the monorail resorts can be like really crazy with a lot of people in and out all day. And I don't feel like that vibe is at Wilderness Lodge. So that is Wilderness Lodge. Old Key West, you're probably not going to pitch Old Key West very much. I wouldn't, for two reasons. First of all, it's strictly DVC. You can book it through Disney, but it's like I don't even really know the whole situation, because there is no, like, it's only DVC. But then, like, you will see it on the website every once in a while that you can book. I don't even really understand it, but I wouldn't book it. And the other thing is the transportation is really, really bad. So unless somebody has a car, I would never, ever tell them to get Old Key West. The one thing that is really good about Old Key West is that in the studios, there are 2 beds. In the other studios, like the other DVC resorts, there's 1 bed and a couch bed. So, but I don't even know, I don't even think that really matters to you guys, because you would not be booking DVC studios. So like, all the hotels that you're booking have 2 beds. So to be honest with you, I'd stay away from Old Key West. It's probably my least favorite resort of all the resorts. Saratoga Springs, I actually love. I think that sometimes it has like a weird reputation and people don't want it, when I feel like it's one of the best deluxes, and you can pretty much always find availability. And it's probably among the first or second cheapest deluxe resort. I love it. I feel like I am just so happy that like all else fails, I have Saratoga Springs to fall back on because it's like such a good resort that makes me happy. And yet, like, it's almost always available. So I don't have to be like, oh, no, I can't get in a beach club. I can't get in a boardwalk, like my favorites. Then I'm like, okay, Saratoga Springs is available. It's in. So things I like about Saratoga Springs, they have a lot of pools and they don't have lifeguards at all of them. So I know that sounds weird, but my kids like floaties. You cannot take floaties in any Disney pools that have lifeguards. They don't allow them. But the quiet pools that don't have lifeguards, you can totally get away with floaties. So that's a hook right there. Like if, like if you have kids of that age who are in love with floaties, like the fact that Saratoga Springs has the option for floaties, hot tubs at all of the quiet pools too, which is really nice. The kind of like each Saratoga Springs is huge, but each like section is broken up into like its almost own small little resort because each little section will have like a couple buildings near and then its own pool and then its own quick service. And the quick service is like at the pool, so it won't be open like super late. Usually they close at like 7 or whatever, but it's so nice to be able to like be in your room and hop over and grab quick service that's literally like right around the corner instead of like heading to the main lobby to grab coffee or anything like that. There's also drink stands at all of them, so at all the pools, and they stay open, if not 24 hours, then it's like very, very early to very, very late, but they might be open 24 hours. So they can go get their mugs refilled with soda, at virtually any time. So the theming there is really weird to me. It's like 1950s New York. I guess there's this actual city called Saratoga Springs. I'm clueless. I don't get into history anyway, and then that's just something, horse racing is just something I would totally not be interested in. But it's neat. The kids love the horse themes. Like there's statues with horses, there's a carriage, like the kids are climbing all over. There's a carousel in the actually no, it's gone now. The last 2 times we were there, it's not, the carousel's not been there. So also the main pool is really, really nice too. There's a 0 depth entry section. There's a really nice slide, and there's a splash area. Not a huge splash area. This was before they were really putting in the other splash areas. Oh, there is a splash area at Wilderness Lodge. I didn't say that. That's another hook at Wilderness Lodge. It's a pretty standard one. It's nothing to like really write home about, but even if you just say like, I thought Wilderness Lodge was perfect for you because blah, 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 blah. And your kids are going to love the splash area. It's so great for kids that are under 48 inches. That's a hook, even though it's a pretty standard splash area. So Saratoga Springs, those are the things that come to mind. They also have boat transportation to Disney Springs, and you can also walk to Disney Springs. So that's really cool. Blizzard Beach is also like right there, or not Blizzard Beach, the other water park. It'll come to me. So you can't walk to the water park, but you can walk to Disney Springs, and then there's literally a bus that like takes you like right across the road. But it's a really, really, really busy road, so they don't let you walk across. So they like get you on the bus and drive you like 20 feet. So transportation, that's the one good transportation thing out of Saratoga Springs. Other than that, they pretty much need a car because it is the double bus situation where like an internal bus comes and picks you up and drops you at the lobby, so you have to get off. So this is like negative points for strollers. You do not book anybody for Saratoga Springs who does not have a car who has a stroller, because that is a nightmare. Like they would need to put all their kids in their stroller, walk to the bus stop, get their kids out, board the bus goes to the front, they all get off the bus, they wait again for another bus, they get back on the bus, and then they're finally headed to the park. It is, yes, Christy, that maneuver. It is foul. Do not do it. Old Key West is like that as well. I'm putting together a stroller resort like guide, and I'm going to use it as a freebie out in the group. Like I'm going to circulate it, and when they download it, they're going to get added to my email sequence. And it's going to be like, I'm going to have the resorts like ranked like A++ if you're on the monorail, or you don't have to fold the stroller for at least 2 parks. And then like B if you just like for 1 park, and on and on. But like Saratoga Springs and Old Key West are going to be like F- because it's terrible. Okay, so who did I miss? Did I miss any of them? I think that was the last 3. Wilderness Lodge, Old Key West, Saratoga Springs, and we did all those. So before I move on to the value, is there any that you feel like I didn't cover well enough, or that you have questions about? No, no. Oh, Sophie, yep, hold on.
Sorry, I'm muted because she's here. But if anyone's like a food, like they're really into food, as far as Old Key West or Saratoga Springs, which one would you recommend?
Saratoga Springs definitely, like neither one of them is very good for quick service, except for the fact that Saratoga Springs has more tiny quick services on the property because there's like one.
Like you're talking like by the pool.
But it's still like, what they'll do is like each one will have something, but it'll still be like 1 to 2 offerings at each one. So you might like have to pick, like you could either have a cheeseburger or like a flatbread at one of them, and then you'll go to the other one and they'll have like a nice salad. And so it's not very big and there's not a lot going on, but at least there's like some options there. And then Saratoga Springs has a restaurant that's actually pretty famous. Like people go to it. I think it's something Palette, Artist Palette. That might be it, or that might be their internal quick service in their main lobby. But I've gone to it, the restaurant that's like kind of famous that people actually like talk about and like want to go to, and it was really, really good. If you want to Google that and get the name, sorry, I can't think of it off the top of my head.
No, but that's helpful.
Okay, so let's talk about value resorts. I feel like they, first of all, like the All Stars and then Pop and Art of Animation, it's just like a clear, like all the All Stars are very, very similar. Then Pop and Art of Animation, a lot of people don't realize that Pop and Art of Animation were going to be the same resort. And then, so there was going to be, at Pop Century, there's the decades from the 50s to the 90s. And there was going to be the 40s, 30s, 20s, 10, whatever, back over at Art of Animation. But Disney like took like this gigantic slump. And so they left Art of Animation not built according to plan. And then like years passed, I think almost a decade passed. And then they were like ready to do it, but they were like, oh, that ship has sailed. Let's not do the decades. And they did Art of Animation. So that's a little Disney trivia. I love that kind of like weird history stuff about Disney. It's funny. I don't care about New York horse racing, but I'm like, ooh, tell me all the Disney history. What happened? So I feel like it's hard to distinguish between the all-stars. It's hard for you to be like, no, this all-star is yours. So let's really talk about that first. And then it's easier, I think, to distinguish Pop and Art of Animation. But a lot of time Pop and Art of Animation are $10, $20, $30 more per night than the All-Stars. And so you really do need to be able to sell the All-Stars, because if somebody's like, is this the cheapest thing? Well, this is the cheapest and it's still the best resort for you because like that's how that's going to go down. But so I get a kick out, like I feel like people the things I hear people latch onto about the values surprises me, and where they are in relationship to each other. Literally, if you started here and just kept walking down the sidewalk, you would walk in front of all the values, like all the all-stars. They're like literally like here, here, here. And they do sometimes share busing, and that's something that people like will constantly bring up and be like, I don't want to stay in the all-stars because they share busing. in my experience, they rarely share busing. Like I've been there a lot. And so it's like possible, but very rarely. So I would say like it's only when it's a low crowd month and a low crowd part of the day. So if you're going in the morning when the whole crowd is going in, you're not going to be sharing a bus. And if you're coming home like after park closed, you're not going to be sharing a bus. It's only like if you're heading away from the resort in February at 11:30 a.m. when nobody's really heading out there, you might have to share a bus. So that's one thing that you can tell your clients with confidence that like, yeah, it might happen a couple times during your trip, but it's more rare than. So the location of them relative to each other is another thing that people will decide which one to stay at. And you guys should double check this, but I think that it is music in the middle, movies all the way like the farthest down the road, and sports first. So like when they're coming from like the parks, it's going to be sports, music, movies. And I'm just talking about this from memory, but if they do share buses, like when you're coming home, sports is the first people to get off, and then music, and then movies is the last people to get off. And then when you're getting on, sports is the first people to get on. So they have 2 bus stops, but they're definitely going to get seats because the bus is probably empty. So what I'm telling you right now, this stuff that I'm telling you is very unimportant, but it is something that people will latch onto, and I see it in the Facebook group. Jennifer, I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead.
Okay, so my question is, because I've been looking at, booking different people, different times, and, those always come up. Why is movies more expensive? Is it just the theming? Because if they're farther away, why are they more expensive?
I honestly can't tell you that, and I would almost use that as a sell against movies for the fact that, like, there's nothing, in my opinion, you said music is more expensive, right?
No, movies.
Oh, movies? Okay. Go back. Forget I said that. Movies, yes, is usually more expensive because of the theming. And to me, it's worth it. It's almost like a little brother of art of animation. Like, so instead of like picture music is my least favorite of the All-Stars. So music has like gigantic music instruments, like, and they're not even like normal instruments for the most part. Like they're things that my kids won't even, like maracas and like that calypso thing that my kids don't even know what it is, and like xylophone and stuff. Like it's not even like a guitar, it's like weird, obscure. It shouldn't be called All-Star music. It should be All-Star obscure musical instruments. I'm not a fan of it. And so picture that theming. It's also like the colors are off. Like they're like pinks, greens, and like vibrant weirdness. I'm not a fan of it. And music is also massive. And so if you're booking standard, you could easily end up 3 buildings away from the lobby. And like when you're tired, it's the worst decision you've ever made to spend, like not spend that $120 or whatever it is. So why movies is more expensive is like compare that theming that's going on over at music with the Dalmatians, Toy Story, not Lion King. That's an art of animation. My husband's chiming in. Stay in your lane.
The Cars, right?
Cars is at Art of Animation too.
Okay.
Okay, let me think though. I do know them all. It's funny we're doing these trainings at night when I'm like definitely like thinking about a bowl of ice cream.
Mighty Duck or
Fantasia. Fantasia, which is awesome because even though I'm not a huge fan of Fantasia, the big Mickey hat is like dead center, very cool with the broomsticks. Herbie, which is a little more obscure, but since it's a car, like my son was like latched onto it. Like we went to movies and he was like, what is that? And then I had to like play him both movies. When we got home, we like did the old one and then the one with Lindsay Lohan. And then he had to like get all the cars, and I packed him like a little Herbie for when we were there. I'm a big fan of that. But so yeah, I think that's all of them. It seems like that's all of them. So the theming is just really on point. It's larger than life. Like it's huge Buzz Lightyear, like 3 stories high Buzz Lightyear in front of you. Like, if you have a 4-year-old, are you booking the gigantic, obscure instrument, or do you want the ginormous Buzz Lightyear? Like, so that's a really big thing to set it apart. And then, where it is in relationship, like if I was trying to get somebody to book movies, like the theming is like totally a hook. I would also say like, the quick service is awesome there. They have a food court. It's movie themed, of course. So it's all like you're inside of a theater and it's like set up like, here's the popcorn stand, but they really have pizza. And here's the ice cream stand, but they really have, dinner. And so the theming's really good. The food is really good. I think the food at all 3 of the All-Stars is pretty good from a quick service standpoint. Like for a quick service credit, you can get a steak for dinner. You can get like a piece of lasagna or like, pizza slice, like one of those giant pizza slices. You're not going to get, like, I feel like a quick service credit actually goes farther at the values compared to some of the deluxes, because there's fewer people eating quick service at the deluxes. They're gonna like opt for the restaurants. So then Disney knows they're not feeding as many people, so they can't have as many options. So that it's really nice when you go to the values that there's gonna be 3 or 4, like, or maybe even 5, like little sections that have different things. And it's almost like, think of a quick service restaurant inside a park, and then there's almost like 3 of those, not quite. Daria is saying the yogurt bar and ice cream bar for a snack credit. That's another good selling point. Like, you're not going to get a yogurt bar or an ice cream bar, like where you make your own sundae and there's like toppings and stuff. That's in All-Star movies. It's in all of them usually. Like, it kind of rotates. It's not always there, but it's usually there. And you're not going to get that at a deluxe for a snack credit. Okay, so transportation is not the best at the values. Like, we all know that it's bus only. There's no boat transportation. So like, they're like a C or a D when it comes to stroller situations. But if you are trying to sell movies, then you say like, movies is last on the road, so you're going to be the last one picked up before you head right off to the park. You don't have to wait. Like, they come pick you up, you head to the park. So that's really nice compared to sports, which is like, they might go sports, music, movies, and then finally drive off. So that's a little bit of a selling point. I don't know why people get hung up about that. I'm like, whatever, 5 minutes. So movies, I feel like, is a really easy one to pitch. I feel like people want it. It's like, I would pitch that it's the most popular All-Star and it's harder to find availability. And so when I found it for you, I was really excited. Like, it's usually gone by now. I'm super excited for you. I was already thinking this was a really good one for you, but I was concerned it was going to be sold out. But not only was it not sold out, there was actually still a discount on it. Like, that's how I would set it up. And that's all true, because I have a hard time getting movies for myself. I'm usually like left with, because I don't plan far enough out, and then I'm like, what is it, music or sports? And I actually really love sports as well. So let's talk about sports, and then I'll try and find something good to tell you about music. Uh, but no, All-Star Sports is the smallest. So it's almost like all the rooms are preferred. It's not quite, but almost all the rooms in sports are the distances away of the preferred at music. Does that make sense? They still do have preferred and not preferred, but they can like totally feel fine saving their money and not staying preferred because they're only going to be one building back. They're never going to be, hello. So I really like that. And that's probably the biggest selling point from my standpoint, is that the size of it is so, there's fewer people around. It's probably the calmer of the three All-Stars. Everything else really is the same. The theming, of course, is really neat for anybody who's into sports. And I'm not a huge sport fan, but I played ball when I was a kid, and even into college, I played softball and stuff. And the baseball, so attaching, we didn't really talk about this with movies, but attaching, your son plays ball, he's gonna love to be in the baseball section. We're gonna request that for you. Not guaranteed, but of course they'll try to get it for you. And even if they don't, you can take a walk through there and it's super cool. It's sports, but it's Disney sports. The baseball pool is set up like a baseball diamond. The pool is on an angle, so it's the diamond. And then right in the middle is Goofy being the pitcher. And then there's a big grassy area that's the outfield. And then all the characters are at the bases, where the bases would be. And it's just a really cool theming. And then of course they have the baseball that's larger than life. The locker rooms are they look like lockers, and they're actually locker rooms for you to get dressed at the pool. Jen, what did you have to say? Oh, hold on.
I unmuted myself.
Okay.
So you said that it was the calmer of the three All-Stars, but I've read that January, February, you don't want to stay there because of the cheerleaders.
That is true.
And then I think it's June for the Brazilian tour groups. Is that?
Yeah, that is, the Brazilian thing is pretty much at all three. I don't think you're gonna have a difference there. But and so is the cheerleading competitions. It seems to me they fill up sports, and so then they just go out and out and out. So I don't mind it, and maybe it's me, but I feel like it was really neat. I've stayed there a few times, 2 or 3 times while the cheerleaders have been there. And for me, I felt like it was a positive thing, because I felt like it was a really neat thing to be in the rooms, and I could look out and see cheerleaders practicing and doing flips and and it was fun. But that's me. So you might want to, if you this is where you know your customer, and you're maybe if they are saying they want calm, you're not, and they're going in February, you're probably not pitching sports, because it's not going to be calm then. You probably want movies if you have to stay value and somebody says they want to avoid the cheerleaders. But I would not recommend any of the All-Stars. If they're saying calmness in February, they should be at Pop or something, at least, if not totally away from there, because a lot of those folks will get their accommodation stay paid for, and then 1 or 2 ticket days paid for with their cheerleading, whatever's going on with them, and then they'll lengthen it out, and they'll add a day here and a day there, and it's pretty much all the values are full of cheerleaders for a month. So sports, we didn't talk about the theming of movies. I mean, we mentioned the buildings, but really, if you know the kids that your client has, she has a little girl who's this age, and she has a little boy that's that age, you're smart enough to connect that the little boy is probably really in love with Toy Story, and even the little, I hate to be sexist, because I actually really love Toy Story, but it Dalmatians, ginormous dogs, it's easy to connect. Your 3-year-old is gonna love a 3-story tall Dalmatian. That's just gonna make his day, right? So when you're pitching those things, like think about who's in the family, and then go look at All-Star Movies and look at the different buildings and be like, this is what's here. And then the same with sports, like it's like surfing, basketball, football, and baseball. So there's only 4 sections. They're all like, the way that the buildings kind of are is like the lobbies here, and it's like surf and football, and then basketball and baseball. So even if they're in those further sections, they're only 1 building back from the lobby. So if like, you can ask that, like, is your son a sports fan? Is your husband a sports fan? And this is another place where like husbands could maybe get on board, is like, we're going to request the football building, like, so that, you know, for the husband, like that's a definite hook. Then talking about music, the only time I would ever even recommend music is if it was the only value that was left and they had to stay on budget. I would be like, you are so lucky. There's 1 value resort left. Oh my gosh, they were almost sold out. You got like, whew, you swooped in there. I bet by next week, these are going to be gone. Like, so that is how I would pitch music. And I would also, like, my husband is actually like a music fanatic. And if you could somehow get that information, like Mike would actually be psyched to, like, so the sections over there are like Broadway, jazz, country, like 50s doo-wop, which is kind of a cool section. The country section speaks to me a little bit because it's got like trees and like they made it like country, and it feels kind of like home to me. There's like a big like park type space with picnic tables and ginormous cowboy boots, like 3-story tall cowboy boots. That's probably my favorite section. It's massive, and I feel like the walking is crazy. It's just, it's big. And then the other thing is that music is the only All-Star that has family suites. So that's the only All-Star that sleeps 6. Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
I was just going to say that the family suites are in the Calypso and the Jazz buildings, which are closer to the front than, say, Country, because Country is all the way at the back, correct?
Yes.
And these are like right by the big guitar pool. So, you know, that kind of can be a selling point for the family suites, is that they're closer to the front. They're closer to the quick service. They're closer to the lobby.
I would probably not pitch a suite unless somebody asked for it, because I would gravitate towards 2 rooms instead of a family suite, because you're going to get 2 connecting rooms for cheaper than one of the family suites. Are you saying differently?
I am seriously saying that it's cheaper to do the family suite than it was to do 2 rooms. I was looking for a family.
At music specifically, not at Art of Animation.
It wasn't Art of Animation. It was music specifically, and we tried breaking it out to the standard rooms and then also the family suite, and the family suite's actually coming out cheaper.
Okay.
I had the same thing too.
Did you?
And I looked at all the cheapest possible value that I could find for them getting 2 rooms, and the family suite at that time was still cheaper.
Okay. I've not quoted it. I mean, I would only search it for myself, and I've not seen it enough to like, I would have thought that, but I guess I am usually probably looking at Art of Animation, which of course is going to be much more than it. The music suites, have you stayed there, Jen? No, they're very much like regular pop or regular All-Star rooms, just a little bigger. That's not the case at Art of Animation. Like the suites at Art of Animation are like, they're done up. They're really nice, and they're totally, to me, they're worth, I feel like they're very worth their cost if it's somebody who can afford it. So those are the only hooks that I would really do for music, is like, if it was the last value available, that's an easy one if you have any time where it's ever the last value. If it's significantly less, if it's somebody who has a party of 6 and they want like the cheapest accommodations. The food is good there. No complaints about the food, I would say. And the theming's not like bad, except for I really don't like the Calypso, but that's just me. Maybe some people are like, I love Calypso. And I'm like, good, stay there. I won't see ya. Okay. Pop Century and Art of Animation. I really love them. And now we're going to have the Skyliner. So, of course, like, underline that in your notes, because that's going to be a big one. To sell them against each other, Pop is, there's no sweets at Pop. So that's like the biggest thing. If somebody wants Art of Animation, they're usually talking sweets. The resort itself is very, very cool. Like the theming is great. I'm sorry to bounce back and forth. Let me just talk about Art of Animation. Okay. The theming is amazing. Like the theming over there is like, even if you are not staying there, like just stop and walk through. It's so, so cool. It's Cars, Finding Nemo, Lion King, and The Little Mermaid. Like, who does not love those? Like, maybe it's just because I'm a child of the 80s, but I'm like, those are my go-tos. Like, but it's like perfect because if you have a boy, like Cars is gonna be, and I mean, everybody loves Cars, but especially the little boys are gonna go crazy. Like Doc, life-size Lightning McQueen, life-size Mater, like life-size Cozy Cone Pool. The Cozy Cones are like areas where you go rest out of the shade, or in the shade out of the sun. Like the Cozy Cone Pool is potentially the coolest theming of any pool on property. I'm gonna go on record and say that. I think it is. It's the coolest theming. The Cozy Cone Pool, it's awesome. But all of Cars, the Cars area is super themed. Like you're walking and it's not a sidewalk, it's a road, of course, because you're a car. Like, my little boys love it. I love it. I feel like when I'm there, I'm like, I really need to get a picture with Lightning McQueen, you know? And then Finding Nemo is the next one, and they have like these giant pelicans that are like, mine, just like all the time. And it's so fun. And the kids are like, but they don't do it all the time. So it is kind of like, they're like, oh, let's do it again, you know? And then like the pool is the Big Blue Pool is the Finding Nemo. Like there's a play area there's a zero entry. There's a really cool play area that's Finding Nemo themed. And there's like Crush and the little turtle, what's his name? Squirt. And just very, very cool theming. And under the water at the Big Blue Pool, they play music. So when you're swimming, like if your ears are under, you can hear like the Finding Nemo music underneath there, which is kind of weird. And like, I don't know, it's cool. It's just, you're like, everybody has to go down. Did you hear it? Did you hear it? What was playing? You heard, like, it's just a fun, neat thing. Then the next one is Lion King, and that, so cool. We took my two nephews and my niece, teenagers, and they were so in love with the theming at Lion King. There's like Scar, and like he's looking down on you, and there's like the hyena and the elephant graveyard, Mufasa, and like baby Simba and Rafiki. And you got to get pictures with all of it because you're like, oh, this is the coolest stuff. And the buildings are, most of the values, the buildings are motel-like, where the doors open to the outside, but the suites at all Art of Animation are hotels. So you go in the building and there's, you know the difference. I don't have to tell you that. If people can spring for it, it's such a great resort. And if they aren't staying suites and they're doing Little Mermaid is a super cool theming too. The only thing is it can be a very far walk from, if you're in the farthest building in Little Mermaid, it is going to be a hike. But the way the resort kind of is like, you could kind of come around the front way to get to the buses, and it doesn't have to be quite as far. But I stayed at Little Mermaid with a car, and I didn't have any kind of problem. I loved it, but I had a car. And then I stayed there again later, didn't have a car, and I was like, man, this is like a haul. Like, and there's nowhere really to get your mug filled up. Like, so even to go get coffee in the morning, you're like 2 blocks, you know, like 2 city blocks, you're walking away. Let's talk about the suites real quick for Art of Animation a little bit more. So they are a queen size bed, and it's really like a bedroom. Like, it is a nice size bedroom. It's actually kind of like the same size as my bedroom in my house, a little bit smaller. And then there's a full chest of drawers in there for you to put everything away. And then there's a bathroom that's like your bathroom when you're staying in the queen. Then there's like a living room area with the couch that folds out. So that's the second bed. And they all, like, the theming is so on point. Like with the cars, it's like very 50s feeling, like the couch is just so like a car dock kind of feeling. And then the like dining room area has a table where you eat, but then the bed like folds out from the wall, and it is a full it's a full size bed. It's like, I don't think it's a queen, but it's like a nice size bed that's like, it's a real, what I mean is it's a real mattress. It's not like a fold couch bed. My mom slept on the fold down one front in the dining room area, and she was like, it was so comfortable. So we did one time, my mom and my niece in that bed, me and Mike in the main bed, and then my 2 nephews in the car bed, like the fold out couch one. And we were totally comfortable. I mean, I normally sleep with Mike every night, so of course I was comfortable, but I don't know about those guys, but they were happy. So we had a really good trip. I loved staying there. And there's another bathroom in there. So it's 2 bathrooms in the suites. So like the master with the queen has their own bathroom, and then there's a bathroom out for like everybody else, the commoners out there. The rooms for the Little Mermaid are really themed. They're more like the All-Star movie. The All-Star rooms are less themed. Like, they are a lot more generic. Like, there's going to be like sort of Mickey wallpaper, sort of Mickey carpet, sort of Mickey decor. But like the Little Mermaid room is like, it's Little Mermaid. So that's a definite sell. Like, if you have a little girl, like the Little Mermaid room, it's such a, and it's the only, other than like the princess rooms at Riverside, it's the only like really, really feminine room, like section, because everything else is like, they've stayed gender neutral, which makes sense for them. But like Little Mermaid is pretty feminine. So that is Art of Animation. So the hooks, like, of course, if there's a party of 6, like, you're gonna talk about the suites. Even if they're not a party of 6, like if they want extra room, space to spread out, like if they don't want, like, I've families of 4, it's like, it would be so comfortable for a family of 4, because mom and dad would be in the big room, the kids could be on the couch bed, and then like they'd never need to pull down the bed in the dining area. So it would be like totally like so much room and easy to feed the kids and like that kind of thing. I probably wouldn't do it because I'm like inexpensive, but not everybody's like that. Like, some people are going to be like, yeah, I will totally spend another $150 a night or whatever it is, so that we have all the space that we could want. Food is really good. Lots of food, like lots of different choices. Both Pop and Art of Animation are big. So there's a lot of people they got to feed, so they have a lot of different choices available. So that is Art of Animation. Let's talk about Pop. So each one is a decade, starting with the 50s, which is all like records and, you know, like poodle skirts and that kind of thing. And then the 60s, which is like groovy, and I think actually that's the 70s. What's the 60s? No, the 60s are groovy. The 70s are like the icons, like the big wheel and the giant Mickey phone. And then the 80s are like the big Mr. Potato Heads that are in some of the advertising campaigns are in the 80s. So that's something that like that's kind of a selling thing. Like, oh man, the Mr. Potato Heads are on over there. You got to get a picture with them. My kids love it. They're always trying to like figure out how to get the giant Mr. Potato Head butt open so they can climb in. It doesn't open, but it's continually like a thing. We're going to go try. Maybe this time it'll open. The giant Roger Rabbit is in the 80s, and then the giant Walkman. And then the 90s, there's like this old laptop, like from way back, like the first laptop you ever used, that's over there. I really like the theming. It's like the decades, but with a Disney twist. So over in the 50s, it's Lady and the Tramp. So that's really neat. Like my kids weren't even, the first time we saw it, they didn't even really know who the Lady and the Tramp were, but a giant dog and another giant dog, like it still was a hit, even though they didn't know the characters. Food is good. Pop is like the best for bus transportation. Like this, universally, everyone will agree that the bus transportation is the best with Pop Century. And that's because like they have so many people coming out of Pop Century that it's always dedicated busing, and they just don't like screw around with it. It's always like there's always enough buses. They're always there. They're always every 20 minutes. Like I've waited for an hour and a half for a bus at Old Key West before because they can get away with it because there's hardly any people trying to ride the bus out of Old Key West. So they don't like, if they're short on buses or something, they're not going to not send a bus to Pop Century. They're going to be like, let's just not send one to Old Key West. Maybe like 4 people will be mad. But if we don't send one to Pop Century, there's going to literally be an entire busload of people that are unhappy. So they weigh that. And like, if they're ever short staffed, it's not going to be Pop Century that they're skipping. And this is like, Art of Animation has like the little higher price point because of the suites. So there's a lot more people driving their own car or taking Uber. There's not as many people using the busing out of there. So that's why Pop Century is like nails for the busing. And if I'm not getting in a car, I'm probably going to be like, oh, okay, I'll probably spend a little extra for Pop because I know the busing is going to be so good. Or I'll be like, well, okay, I'm going to stay at sports, but I'm going to put a little more in my budget for an Uber in case the buses are slow or something like that. So it's like, even in my own head, I'm like offsetting it cost-wise. I feel like you're not going to have a hard time selling Pop. Like if it's available, it's at a good price point. It has good icons, and the busing thing is a big deal. The food is good, like because they're feeding so many people, they have a lot of different options, and it all, like all the classic Disney foods, of course. So how I would sell Pop is like, it's one of the most popular all-star, or it's one of the most popular values, like if not the most popular, because Art of Animation is universally loved, but since it's so much more expensive and you hardly ever get any kind of discounts on Art of Animation, Pop, I would say probably like wins out of like most people's affection for a value. So that's what I would sell. It's like it's most people's favorite value. It's cost effective because it's not the most expensive, but you do get a lot of the great features, especially now with the Skyliner coming in. So I would sell that. I would talk about the food court and how many different choices they're going to get. And I would probably talk about the icons a little bit if you got into it with the, like somebody, like if mom's age is right, and you can get on the same level with mom, like we can talk about, like who here can talk about Roger Rabbit with me? Like if we're the same, yeah, like if we're around the same age, like we can talk, like there's a gigantic Walkman, you know, like that was, so if you're like, that's so cool, you know, like, or the 90s laptop, like remember when it was like, you had to wait for like 20 minutes while it was like trying to find a connection so you could get on AOL so you could IM your friend? Like, that is such a selling point. Like it's gonna bring back memories and conversation. Every single one of you is smiling right now. So not you, Summer. You're like not. There we go. That's like if you can figure out how old mom is, Pop Century could be a really good connection, because like you're not going to probably talk about 50s like Lady and the Tramp, but all the other ones, like, because even my mom was like loving the Hippy Dippy Pool, which is the 60s section. So it is 10, so I'm not going to keep you guys. Before I let you go, does anybody have comments or questions?
Can I ask a question that's unrelated to tonight's topic? Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I think you guys were talking about it a little bit before I came on, the little audio about like, hey, if you're here, we can't really help you. So how are we using that? Because I'm, you know, I have a handful of people that are like, I can't do anything for you, you know?
I think it's kind of a way of getting like my seal of approval on like the brush off. Like that sounds really bad, but I feel like people show up in the Facebook group saying like, you know, they'll say things like, Christy didn't even help me. Like I waited 3 days to get back with her, and then she couldn't even help me. And it's like, that's true, because you were buying one-day tickets and staying at your brother-in-law's. Like, get out of here, you know? Like, but no, they don't tell that side of the story in the Facebook group, and they don't understand why you can't help them. So all they know is that you're like, yeah, so like you're being vague, trying to get rid of them. Like you don't want, like they're not going to pay you $100 planning fee, and you're not going to make any commission on this deal. You don't want, like, it sounds mean, but you cannot spend your time with them. Like it's not making anybody any money, and nobody here is a nonprofit. So what's happened in the past is that the old agents didn't handle that situation well. Like they didn't explain, here's why we need to make a decision here. Either, here's what needs to happen. Either you need to pay me a planning fee, and then I'm totally happy to do all your planning for you. Or you need to get tickets from me, because then I'm going to make commission and I'm totally happy to help you. Or you need to get a resort from me, because then I'm going to make commission. So that is for when, and here's what I would do. I'll probably write a template up for you guys so that you can, like, I'll call it like the Gentle Brush Off template or something like that. I'll make up a good name for it. But what is happening is, like, I want you to have a go-to to say, hey, I feel like LJ has addressed the situation that you're in right now. I want you to listen to this. And then after you hear how LJ explains this, if there's more that I can do for you, I'm totally on board. But after you hear this, I think you're going to understand why what's happening here because it feels icky. Like they don't know why you're not really taking care of them, because they think you're getting paid by Disney by the hour. Like they think that Disney is like, you know, $10 an hour or something, whatever it is. People just don't know how travel agents make their money. It's sad, but true. So that audio explains, like, you wouldn't ask another mom to work for free. That's what you're kind of doing when you want Christy to book your fast passes without booking anything else with her. And so we're happy to accommodate, but here's what has to happen. Like, if you want to pay a planning fee. And then other people were asking me about the planning fees. Like, I don't expect you guys to like run that through me in any way. Like, I figured like do whatever you want to do. If you find somebody who wants to pay you a planning fee, just have them pay you PayPal or something like that, and then like set it up, do the planning for them. Don't feel like you need to like get with me and pay me portion or anything like that. Does that help?
Yeah. And I think being vague to me is like the worst possible thing you can do. I mean, so I've just been sort of addressing it in the sweetest, nicest way that I can. Like, hey, if you buy 3-day tickets or more, I'm more than happy to help you with all of these things, you know, but if you don't, I really can't do what you're asking me to do, you know.
I think it was Jen who was asking, like, how do I Like, how do I have that conversation? And like, if I was in your shoes, the conversation I would be having is like, hey, you probably don't realize how I get paid. And so I want to explain that really briefly, because I think once you understand that, you'll understand why we are where we are. And then you can more clearly see whether you do want to work with me or whether you don't want to work with me, or maybe you want to make changes to your planning so that you can work with me. Like, and that's what I'm going to put in the email. And then I'll put that in the email template so that it's coming like from you, so that when you pull the template up, it'll be like Miss Customer and that little blurb. And then it'll be like, LJ's addressed this if you want to hear. And that's like my seal of approval that you're not brushing them off without my know-how, like my knowledge, because that's what, then I'm getting people coming around you saying like, Savannah brushed me off, like she was rude to me, she wouldn't even help me plan. And then I go to Savannah and Savannah's like, yeah, she was buying one day ticket. Like, so yeah, I wasn't rude to her, but I couldn't help her. And so then I have to go explain to this customer, and I'm like, well, this is why. And this is just like, so I think the voice note is helping with like, this is the truth. LJ's aware of it. Like, that's what I'm trying to help you guys with, the credibility piece. Like, I'm trying to lend, like, I'm the character here. Like, I'm the attractive character. I'm the person that they trust. And so when I'm giving you those voice notes or like my freebies and stuff like that, I'm trying to like give you guys the legitimacy that they have in their heads already for me. Like, oh, well, if LJ says that that's how they get paid, then I believe her. Christy's not just blowing me off. That's what I'm trying to do. Sometimes it's hit or miss. Did anybody else have a question? I thought I saw. Yeah, go ahead, Megan. I'll unmute you. Unmuted you.
Question.
Go ahead.
So one real quick on the All-Stars and Pop, when you have the different sections, can you request those at booking? I just haven't like looked that closely at those yet.
No, you cannot book this. I wish they did it that way. It would honestly.
So it's just whatever you get.
It's standard and preferred is all that's
Oh,
available.
okay.
And so this, like, you can easily use touring plans to tell which buildings are.
Oh yeah, okay.
So you would be like, so if somebody wanted the football section, you could go look and be like, oh, football's preferred, so you're going to want to pay for preferred. And then you would coach them on putting their request in for the football section, or you could just handle that for them, when they're ready. Does that make sense? Anything else?
Yeah, I have two more.
Okay. Go ahead.
One question that came up today, which I Googled, so I think I know, but just I want your opinion too. Do people swim year round there in the pools? Yeah.
It's pretty cold. Like the only real cold time is like from Christmas to like the end of the first week of January. But like my kids will be in the pool. They're all Disney pools are heated across the board, so you don't have to like worry about that. Okay. But you guys, the
cold air.
That's a selling point. Like all of them are heated, right? But if you're talking about All-Star Sports and you're like, the pool's heated, you're not like, that is so true. It's true. Like you're going in January, the pool at All-Star Sports is heated. It's going to be perfect for you. So are all the other ones. But you know what? I just bought fly strips, and on the package, I have a fly strip. On the package, it said, like, they're scented to get flies to go to them. And so Mike and I, like, we paid more. They were on Amazon. They were $13. We paid $13 for fly strips because they're scented. And Mike's like, I'm pretty sure all fly strips are scented, but these ones have it on the package. Here's my money. I want these flies out.
Okay. And my last one is, how far in advance do you know about ride closures and things like that?
Usually, for maintenance, you'll usually get a pretty good heads up on those. I don't usually have my finger on the pulse of that. I'm usually the guest that like shows up and is like, crap, this is closed. Like, or like, why can't I get a fast pass for this? Oh, it's not even an operation. I am never up to date on that stuff. So you're going to want to keep, like, I would follow Dr. Disney. He's like very up on like it's happening today. And then the Disney Food Blog is also another one that you could follow, and you'll see like that as soon as they know about a closure, those two will say it. And they are, don't recommend your clients listen to them, because they're both connected to travel agencies, and you can easily lose somebody who goes, you know, like starts following Dr. Disney just for the updates, and then like, oh, they're doing a sale, and then like they're not your client anymore. So don't send your client to anybody else, but you follow them to get the information. Follow them on Instagram too, because there's always good stuff that's like, ooh, that's neat. Especially Food Blog. Like food is a hook, and if you see the Disney Food Blog will put like neat food on their Instagram, and then you can hit the little share button and post it onto your Instagram, and it like automatically credits Disney Food Blog. And another thing that you can do is that you can send that post to your client. So if you're connected with them on Instagram and Disney Food Blog posts something delicious looking, you could hit the little button and then send it to like your client and be like, oh my God, thought of you. You're going to be there while this is there. Like, think of the relationship building abilities over there.
Mm-hmm.
Was that all, or did anyone else have questions? Jen, yeah. Oh, hold on, you're muted. Wait. Okay, go.
Okay. I have two. The first one is if somebody could answer my question that I put on Voxer as to what number we're supposed to be calling into and what information we need to have handy, readily available. I've never had to call in anything yet.
I literally just Googled, I had to call to book my tickets. I'll send you, I literally just Googled like TA line, but I'll send it to you. I'll put it in the broadcast in case anybody else is.
I have it. Like,
Great,
I'll put it in there right now. I have it if you want me to put it in there.
Oh, I got it.
And then my second one is I have a challenge for you, LJ. Here's your family. Here's your family.
All right, all right.
It's a husband and wife and their 5-year-old daughter.
Okay.
The husband, it's like their first time going, and their husband is dead set. It has to be a 1-bedroom suite with a kitchenette. And they want to stay at Bay Lake Tower theme park view because they want to see the fireworks, and she doesn't think that the daughter, the 5-year-old, will be able to stay up long enough to see the fireworks at night so that they can see that. And
They want it for $5? Is that the problem?
$5,000. That's their budget's $5,000.
Okay.
They're staying like 4 nights.
And how much is it costing?
There's I mean, Bay Lake Tower is DVC, so there's no availability for us. And then they're dead set that has to be a family, not a family suite, a 1-bedroom suite.
I am pretty confident that you can actually book Bay Lake Tower in certain situations. Let me do a little research on that for you because
I'm wondering because it's not showing up. So, I mean, it shows up, but then it says there's no availability. And I'm wondering if it's because of the size party that there's 3.
That's
it's
okay.
just
is there, when is it?
I would have to look.
Message me that.
Okay.
Message me the dates because it might just be no availability. It's a very, very popular resort. And then, but
it's next year in November.
Okay.
Mid to late November. Like you can't even book it until like December 28th.
So he's not going to be able to book that because even people who own at Bay Lake Tower cannot book until December of this year for like 11 months out. So there's no way they're going to be able to book that. What I would do is I would gravitate toward like what are they wanting, which is they want a full kitchen and they want the theme park view or
and it has to be 1-bedroom suite because the daughter has she sleeps lightly. So I'm wondering if it's because they want some couples time.
So the check the Contemporary and see if there's any one bedrooms in the tower. No, I don't. Theme Park View. What about 2 rooms in the Contemporary with Theme Park View? 2 studios. I mean, you're not going to get a kitchen, but if they just want privacy, okay. Then also club level would also be another thing that I would pitch to them.
It's like $9,000 to $10,000 for club level for Poly. I want to say Contemporary, and also it's either Yacht Club or Beach Club, one of the two.
Okay,
for the
then
suites.
the next thing I would talk to them about is a split stay. Like if this is what you want, but it's out of your price range, but it's still kind of what you want, like okay, so if they're gonna miss the fireworks, you only need the fireworks one night, right? You saw them. Like, so let's do that. Let's do Contemporary club level. Like you're never gonna like, it's gonna be amazing. Like do one night, the last night of your trip, Contemporary club level, book a California Grill reservation so that you can go to the top and watch the fireworks. And then the rest of the reservation have somewhere normal that has a kitchen and that has a 1 bedroom. And like,
Are children allowed at the California Grill?
yeah.
Okay.
Children are allowed everywhere. The only place I would say they might not be is like Victoria and Albert's.
Oh,
and
it's
even then,
it's an absolute definite not at Victoria and Albert's. I think they have to be 13 or 15 or something like that.
That's the only place that I would even think that you'd have any kind of discussion. Everywhere else, Disney is like, of course, obviously we're Disney family. But yeah, don't like split stay all the way, because what's happening is like, you can give them, like you build up that 1 or maybe 2 nights in the Contemporary. Like now they can afford it, but that's like their dream stay, but it's only for 2 nights, but that's okay because you're going to be at the parks the rest of the stay. But then these are your last 2 nights or your last 1 night where you're really going to relax and like enjoy the pool there. And like, don't even go to the parks that day. Like really enjoy. The food is amazing. I just stayed club level like a couple of months ago it was on my birthday in July. And it was so cool. The food was really delicious, and it was like, it's all free. And it was so nice to like, on your way back to your room, like grab all the free drinks they had. Like my kids were like, apple juice. Like, so I would pitch like, you can't, like what you want is this, and it's a little outside your budget, but what I think you should do is like live like a millionaire for these 2 days, and then do like a 1 bedroom at Wilderness Lodge where it's going to be less expensive, or a 1 bedroom at Saratoga Springs. And also, here's another thought for you guys. Like, I wouldn't be afraid of DVC. Like, if you're going to lose the reservation completely to DVC, I would always pitch a split stay with a DVC resort, because okay, so say you're about to lose this reservation because they think they're going to go DVC, stay Bailey Tower, and get what they want, blah, blah, blah. You're about to completely lose the reservation. Instead of that scenario, pitch a split stay and be like, let's get you into a 1 bedroom with a kitchen for as inexpensive as we possibly can by renting DVC points at Saratoga Springs. We'll do 3 nights there. You've lost the commission on that, but you are going to keep the commission on the tickets and the package. You're going to then do a package with a split stay with Contemporary club level, and put the tickets with your package. So now your commission is still going to be probably higher than if you would have just talked them into a moderate for 4 nights or something like that. You guys follow me on that?
Yeah, but I don't think that you can get the tickets if you're doing it for the end of their stay. The tickets start for the day that they for the reservation, right?
Double check with Jackie, but I think it's 2 days in the other direction. So if you're like, if they're doing 2 nights beforehand, then you should be able to put your tickets in a package with your portion, and they should be able to start them 2 days beforehand. But ask Jackie that in the chat, because since they've changed the way they do tickets. I'm not 100% on that, so double check that. But that's how I used to, like, I would do a 3 and 3 split stay pretty regularly. I would do 3 nights on the monorail and 3 nights at the beach club. And then I would have my tickets with the second section. And that way, I don't know why I did that. It was something to do with fast passes, if I'm remembering right. But I was able to get my tickets, and then I would turn them into passes. I think I did that.
Okay.
1 or 2 times. But double check with Jackie on that. But the moral of the story is to not be afraid of using DVC as a tool, because what they will end up booking with you 2 nights club level with tickets would be a higher commission than if you lose them completely, which is probably what could happen very easily. Or second, even if you sold really hard, you might get them into a moderate or something like that, and your commission is going to be lower on that. So I'm happy to look at the strategy on that if you want to send me like their dates. And this is the kind of Disney stuff I love. I'm like, oh, let me just chop it up, get exactly what we want here. Anything else, y'all?
I had a question about HubSpot.
Yeah.
So once you have so I've got 1 lead so far. So then I got it shows up under the contact so I could preview everything. And then I contacted her. So now what do I do in HubSpot?
So you guys, let me screen share real quick. Jen and I were chatting about this because she was like mildly annoyed that I had changed her contact date. She read me the riot act. I'm just kidding. She was sweet. So
It was
and
not
I realized
that
that
bad.
she yeah, I'm playing it up. Okay, so what Jen was doing was that she's sorting her contacts. Like she's working her contacts. Okay, I was like, where are my contacts? Okay, so Jen was using the, let me scroll over. It's slow because you guys are watching. The last contacted, like see this last activity date? She was basically like using this like, oh, I haven't been in touch. I haven't been in touch with them, so I need to get back in touch. This is not what you want to do. You want to work from your tasks. And once I get this more set up, I'm going to do a whole training on how to best manage HubSpot. But so what's happening? Let's like pretend like, let's open one of these people. When you open up your contacts, like now HubSpot is automatically going to create a deal for you whenever this gets assigned to you. So this is, if you have to go, I totally understand because we're getting a little late. But I'll still take the time for anybody who wants to watch the recording. So what's going to happen right now is when I transfer this, or whenever Julie transfers this lead to somebody, it's going to trigger 3 things to happen. It's going to trigger me to get a task that I need to send them out, like a welcome that says like, hey, it's LJ here saying bonjour, that one that I sent you guys this morning. Did you see that? So that's going to go out. The task for me to send that is going to go out. It's going to create a deal for you, and then it's going to create a task for you to follow up with your contact. So your task, like here is your contact, and you could easily go here to email, and this is where you're going to have access to the templates. Some of you don't have access to this, so don't go in there and be like, I don't have it, because most of you don't. But you're going to go to templates here, and there's going to be a whole list of like templates that you're able to pick from. And like for the most part, you're going to pick the intro email, and that's going to auto-populate their name, what's happening. It's going to say where they're going, like, I'm so happy to help you with your trip to Florida, Disney World in Florida. I'm super excited. I have a little GIF in here. And then it'll populate your information as well. This is not assigned to anyone, but if it was assigned to, like, if this was Christy's lead, under here it would say Christy. And then here's 2 little blurbs from me about things that I think people get concerned about. So those are down there. And this space is for you to like fill in the questions that you want to ask them. So I'm probably going to do a little more with this to guide you. But when you send this out, this is probably like your intro email is probably going to be your first step. You're going to also click down here for create a task to follow up. And then you don't want it to be in 3 days, probably in 1 day. Like if you don't hear from them tomorrow, you want to follow up in 1 business day. So what's going to happen with that task that you make right there? I'm not going to actually send this because it's not correct. Is you're going to go to sales and then you're going to go to tasks. And then everything that you schedule for yourself to do is going to be in tasks. And so I'm going to build a sequence out. Like, remember how we talked a couple of days ago? I don't know when it was now. And we were like, if they haven't gotten back to me at all, like if they're not responding, I want to follow this path. That had like send out an email, then there's a task, send out an email, then there's a task, send out an email. That will auto populate in here so that as you complete each step, it'll do the next thing for you. So I have 1 task here. I need to send this email out to Gretchen, who has just gotten newly assigned to one of the salespeople. So you'll have a list of like follow up with, or like I haven't heard back from, and it's amazing. This somehow tracks if they've opened the email. It tracks if they've clicked any of the links. So you'll have that stuff popping up like, hey, Gretchen just opened your intro email. She clicked both links. And then if Gretchen doesn't get back to you, you can say like, hey, Gretchen, I know you got the email. I got a red receipt. So I was just wondering if, what's the next step, or maybe you reach out, whatever it is. So don't work from your contacts, work from your tasks, and then also use your deals as a supplement to help you with keeping track of like where everybody is in their process. And if you feel like as you're getting really good with your task and scheduling your tasks for yourself, there's going to be a learning curve. So right now you're probably not like, I know exactly the tasks I want to schedule for myself along every step of the way. So I would come in here into your deals board and be looking at like, who is in my deals board still as a lead. That means they aren't responding yet. So I can take steps there that are different than the steps that I'm going to take from whoever's in here, and then on and down. And then you're going to get like, oh, hey, I had these ones that I thought would close today, but they didn't. I need to double check. Am I waiting on payment? Am I waiting on, what am I waiting on? Or do I need to follow up? That type of thing. This system, you guys, like the more I'm working on it, the more I'm like, oh my gosh, I can rule the world with this system. Like if I was a salesperson back in the day, like I absolutely would have killed to have something like this at my disposal. And I don't think you guys can really totally see it yet because you don't have access to some of it, and you don't have like, I have all these emails half written in my head that I'm like, I know this is going to change I was playing on the HubSpot app. Have you guys played on it at all? Because you can get, if this will load, I'm going to show you something super cool. So let's just say now I have all your guys' contacts, but let's say this is a new contact and you get an alert in your email that says like, you have a new contact, go follow up on it. You can click that and it'll take you right over to the app, and whoever it is will like be automatically open. Well, then look, you can hit email and grab the template, intro email, just like that. Like the whole thing is right there on your phone. Like no need to wait until you're at your computer. You just fill in the little spots where you're going to ask like the specific questions and then get it out. And you can even set the follow-up right from here. Like you're going to be able to be so much more responsive than you would be able to if you were like, I have to get there, I have to get the email, copy and paste. Like I have all my things saved. Like that's how I did it when I was a salesperson. Like I have all my little emails that I like, all templates and stuff. This is like so, oh man.
On my app, I can see all of the deals that you have up right now. But
Oh, yeah?
but on my computer, I can't see that at all. That's kind of weird, right?
It's probably, I'm going to look if I have the permissions set right for you.
Well, and so I got that contact, but do I have to move it over to that like deals board because it doesn't automatically move over there because it's not on there for me?
It will, I just made that workflow. I just made that automation. So
Okay.
it should now, when you get a new one, if it doesn't, the next time you get one, it should create a deal now for you. If it doesn't, let me know.
Okay. So right now I have to manually put it over to the deals.
That first, yeah, any that didn't go after like this afternoon sometime when I put it in, you're still gonna. No, your permissions are set up, right? So maybe the app just doesn't filter, or maybe, you know, that is the team deal board. So I don't know if maybe it's designed to see that, because maybe you're supposed to be like, well, shoot, Christy's about to seal the deal on some big ones. I better get my butt in gear.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about HubSpot, and I feel like it keeps having to take a back seat because like I can't keep up with you guys selling things. Like Christy's like, I gotta get into Universal. I'm trying to sell Universal. Somebody else told me they gotta get into SeaWorld. Brittany, oh, you need SeaWorld too? And then Brittany's like selling Travel Guard, which was a nightmare to get set up because it was insurance. So that took me like hours to get them the paperwork that they needed to get us approved. It was so, but I feel like each day I'm chipping away at those things. And then the other agents like exiting, like now I got to deal with their swag situation that they've left me. Like that's going to be fun. So I'm like, go ahead, Megan, you have something?
Yeah, just a quick question since you mentioned Universal that I thought of. How does the commission work on tickets there? Like, can you do just one day? I think you might have mentioned it, but sorry if it's a repeat.
I did not mention it because I don't know. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Ask Jackie. And you
Okay.
can just like pretty much assume I know nothing about Universal. Like I know almost everything about Disney World. I know so little about Universal. Like
My
Harry
big group
Potter, end of knowledge.
the best one I've got, she knows for sure they want to do a day at Universal, so in that time too.
I do know that we're all set up so you can sell it. But
Okay.
and you can go in there and see. I just had a VA today. I gave her all y'all's information to get you guys your usernames. So I'm expecting that information. Like I'm expecting her to do that work and be back to me tomorrow. So once I get that back, then I'll get it out to you guys and it'll have all your like usernames and passwords. If you're like desperate for it, I can ask her to do you next or first or whatever, because we were able to get Christy in ahead of time.
Okay.
Summer, do you have a question?
Oh, she sent me that. I already got my email and stuff from her today.
Oh, for Universal?
Yeah, I didn't even know it was a thing, and I got this email, and she said, LJ wanted me to send this to you, so.
Awesome. From Kathy?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I did that too.
Okay. That's amazing. I already love Kathy. I literally hired her today because I had like 150,000 applications for my Facebook ads manager that I put on my post like 2 weeks ago. I have not had, like, I'm like, I need to find this because obviously I'm like parting ways with my other Facebook ads manager at the end of October. It's like scheduled. I'm like, after that, I'm on my own here unless I get somebody in this job. So I finally just was like, Laura, who's my project manager, who I love, you guys got to meet her. I was like, just pick the top 10 people out of all these like gazillion apps. So she sent me this, and then she sent me like 3 extras, and she's like, these people aren't qualified for this job, but you want them to work for you. And she sent me those ones too. And I was like, looking at these resumes, I'm like, holy crap. So the top, like the best one, I like message her. I'm like, I want to hire you. What are you doing right now? Let's get on the phone. We were on the phone within an hour. And then within another half hour, she was doing all this crap for me. I'm like, this is the best. What a time to be alive. Are you kidding me? You can get help that quick. So hopefully I'm not going to be dropping as many balls, because I think she's going to be able to take some of that type stuff, like where she's like, I was having to put all of you, and there's 14 of you. So I was having to put like all 14 of you into this, and all 14, I'm like, I need some help. So it's coming. Things are going to get, I think with adding Kathy to the team, I think we're going to have a little bit more time. And then I can spend my time where I actually want to spend it, which is getting you guys the templates. Like, I was super excited to get to play with that GIF where the thing's going to open and like do the reveal. That's going to be so cool when I'm done with it. So that's the stuff I really love, like not like the copy and pasting everybody into Universal. So, all right, I've kept you guys long enough. Oh, you, one more question? Go ahead. Wait.
We good?
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to make a statement about HubSpot. I think it was last Friday you mentioned being able to do the link to book meetings with your
Google Calendar.
clients and everything. Just heads up, everybody, we only get one link. So
No,
make
you
sure
only, you only get one link right now because you're not on.
Yeah, right now. You just get one link. So go ahead and book out on your month or something. Go ahead and book weeks out. I only did like yesterday and today, and now I can't use the link again. And also, if you go through the app setting it up, don't say, hey, do you want to do a test one? Because then you turn yourself into a contact and you turn yourself into a lead.
You're going to be a contact anyway, because you're a contact to, you are a customer to me. Like the way that my like system is, you'll be in there as a lead anyway, because you guys are my leads. Like, it's like, I have to work you guys. Now I've let the cat out of the bag that you guys are my customers. Darn it. But don't be too worried about that, because you're only limited right now because you're on the free HubSpot. When I get you on the paid, which is probably going to be in the next few weeks, then you'll be able to like fool around with your calendar a lot more. So cool. Anybody have anything else? This was a marathon training. I'm sorry, but there's a lot of good stuff. All right. So let me get back to you about when we're going to do training again, because we're not going to do it on the weekend. And then I'm leaving on Wednesday for Hawaii. So Monday, I already know I like have the chiropractor. I'm going to I don't know. I've got a bunch of errands to run. My boys need haircuts. It's going to be insane. So probably not Monday, maybe Tuesday. And then I'm taking off, and I'll probably still jump on some. I don't want to leave you guys like hanging while I'm in Hawaii for 2 weeks. Like, LJ's just gone. She starts a travel agency and then we never see her for. Yes, Jen?
Could I make a suggestion? And maybe Monday we have a training. Maybe you're just on, but not leading it, from somebody like Beth or one of the more experienced agents. We're getting ready to have discounts dropped on Tuesday, possibly.
Yeah.
Would that be
It's fine with
available?
Me. Yeah, it's fine with me. She did do, because we thought discounts were dropping on this Tuesday. So she did pop on like at one point and talk about it. So it is in the, like, what to expect with release is in the training from, it would be Monday, I think.
So Tuesday is going to be crazy. And I said, no, I wouldn't take leave on Tuesday.
It's actually notated in there. Like, we talk about release on this training. So if you go back to that one, Beth led that. But I don't think I think like having Beth lead a training about something, like maybe not release because we talked about it, but I like, you guys got to be getting sick of listening to me talk, and she can talk a lot more about what, like, the day-to-day and that kind of thing. So I'm happy to ask her, and you guys tell her you want her to lead training too. We'll like guilt trip her into it. It'll be awesome. Good team dynamics. Like, we really need you, Beth. All right, guys, have a good night, and I'll get back with you about when our next training is. Bye. Sleep good.